on site at Revel, Atlantic City. And for those folks joining us on the live stream, we welcome you as well to Atlantic City. Again, still here on site at the spectacular Revel. Just behind me, the fighters in tonight's Bellator MMA, our season finale here in our first season on Spike. We'll turn things over for opening comments and questions in just one moment. For those members of the press that are joining us here, if you have your questions formulated, think about it now. We'll come to you in just a few moments. Without further ado, let's turn things over for opening remarks from the Bellator MMA CEO, Chairman, and Founder, Mr. Bjorn Rebney.
Thanks, Mike. I just want to start out, and just as a fan, you get a show like this where it works its way into the TV show, and you just get the kind of finishes and the kind of back and forth battles that we saw here tonight. It just, I don't mean to be corny, but a hand for these guys. They put on just an amazing show for us. Just every once in a while I can take the CEO hat off and just put on the fan hat, and that was just, as a fan tonight, I was just lapping it up. That's as good as it gets. I want to thank our partners at Revel. It's our first time here. We've been in Atlantic City many times. It was a great, packed, full, boisterous crowd, and it's just a gorgeous casino and a magical venue, just as good as it could get. This was great. We will be back here in the fall. This was our first of what I hope are many, many events we do here at Revel. And our partners at Spike, 100 million homes week in and week out. We're just finishing up our first season of what will be many years, but a big thank you to our partners at Spike as well for bringing virtually every home in this country these broadcasts and the amazing performances that these guys put on. Rick Hahn, who has fought for us at 70, bounced down to 55, and then agreed to come back up for this judo war against Caro. A spectacular performance. Just all the pieces to the puzzle were there. And Caro, as I was just saying to him before I came up here and before I started talking, is this guy has got unlimited ability, has just got the world is his oyster if he applies himself and things are going right for him and he's in the right place. And my hope is that he and I in this organization can do some more great things together, and you'll see him back in our cage. But Rick, great performance tonight, big win. Cannot wait to see you drop back down to 55 and start attacking that division again. So congratulations.
I just want to say thank you to Caro for taking this fight. I guess it's been a long time coming. You know, we had a little bit of beef, but you know what? It's over now. We fought. You know, I respect him as a fighter. I'm glad he stepped up and took the fight. Wasn't an easy fight. You know, I fought him before in judo, so I know what he's about. So, but I'm happy to get the win. I wish him the best of luck in the future, and I'm going back to 55, where I really belong, and hopefully do some damage and get back to that title fight again. But thank you, Bjorn. Thank you, Bellator, for putting me on this card and getting me back so soon. I appreciate it.
I don't want to make any excuses. I appreciate Bjorn and Bellator for giving me a shot. This was the 4th time they actually gave me a shot, and I felt obligated to take the fight. It was too soon for where I was coming from, but I felt I was in the right place to take a fight. It was a little bit too big of a fight to take after I've been for the last 5 years. But I thank Rick Hahn for taking the fight. Obviously, I know him from the judo years, and he's a great competitor. I respect him as an athlete, and I never had really any beef with him. Whatever said was done. I thank Bjorn, Bellator, Spike, everybody for coming up and supporting the show. Hopefully I'll be back and I'll prove myself one more time. Thank you.
The saying was, the rhino is back. And we saw it, that the first fight we had with Doug Marshall was a knockout. The next fight, we didn't know exactly what we got. We got another knockout, and then we got a decision victory and just a devastating knockout tonight. Brett Cooper's got one of the best chins in mixed martial arts. Cooper stood toe-to-toe with our champion Alexander Shlemenko for 3 rounds and never flinched. So the power in Doug Marshall's hands are just, it's a thing to see, and he makes for incredibly brutal, exciting fights. So it's great to have the Rhino back, and he is back in full force. He's going to face Alexander Shlemenko for our world title, and that is a fight. I don't think you're going to have to worry about Alexander Shlemenko looking for the double leg, so that should just be, from a television perspective, an amazing fight. Congratulations on a big win.
Bjorn, thank you very much, man. Thanks to Bellator for having me. you know, I entered this tournament and it looked like everybody just looked past me. I was the dark horse of the tournament, and here I am, $100,000 richer. I got my title shot coming up. Looks like I got a little broken hand, but you know, hey, no thing. You know, I'll spend a little time on the lake recouping. You know, all these guys, I always come off as an asshole. You know what I mean? In these interviews and everything. The bottom line is this: I gotta sell these fights. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to hear, hey, you know, it was a great job, a good fight, I'm really happy. People, no, there ain't no excitement about that. Have a fucking personality, step your game up, and make some money. You know what I mean? And as far as running my mouth, I run my mouth and then I step into the cage and I knock motherfuckers out. You know what I mean? It's that simple. I'm really looking forward to the fight against Alexander. It's going to be great. You know what? Somebody's going to sleep. I guarantee you. You know what I mean? That's the bottom line. So, I don't know. I hope this wasn't live on TV. Those a couple F-bombs. Bjorn, sorry, my man. So, but hey, thank you very much.
And we'll get a report back on Brett. I saw him post-fight. He's heading out to the hospital just to get checked out and have everything looked at. But thoughts, prayers with him. And we'll get more information on that shortly. Mike Richmond, Frodo, that was a spectacular fight. We had a lot of finishes tonight, but that was a great back and forth battle. Just a great fight. You're looking at two wickedly talented 145-pound fighters. These guys literally could compete with anybody in the world, either one of them. I just thought it was an amazing fight to watch, and you're going to see Mike Richmond back in our cage in short order. He's a huge talent. He's going to make strides, and he's going to improve different parts of his games, and he'll be back. And in Frodo, I honestly believe you're looking at one of the top featherweights in the world. You're looking at an incredibly talented fighter. So congratulations, Frodo, on a spectacular victory tonight against a great, great competitor, Mike Richmond.
Спасибо всем, кто за меня болел. Спасибо Бьорну за то, что дал мне возможность показать себя на таком высоком уровне, а также Алексею Жирнакову, моему менеджеру. Спасибо всем моим тренерам, Шамилю Загорову, Эсейду Мирагаеву, Сардарову, Тамерлону, благодаря кому кто помогали мне готовиться. И, конечно же, Грегу Джексону, где я находился в Штатах, тренировался, спасибо ему, всем ребятам, которые мне помогали. И благодарен Азизу Яралиеву, президенту клуба «Чемпион», спасибо ему. Что касается соперника, все спасибо. Хороший бой был. Спасибо.
First of all, I want to thank all of my fans. I want to thank everybody who was rooting for me. I want to thank Bjorn, president of Bellator, for giving me this chance, this opportunity. It's definitely a huge opportunity for me. I want to thank my manager, Alexei Zhernakov. I want to thank my team. I want to thank all of the coaches who have put a lot of effort into training for this fight. Greg Jackson here in the United States, all of the coaches back in Russia, Shamil Zavurov, all of the coaches at Club Champion, and also I want to thank my opponent for putting up a good show today.
Well, obviously it didn't go, as I had planned. I thought the fight was a lot closer than what the decision was. Jacked up my hand in the first round by like 2 minutes in. It took me about a round for it to go numb and start throwing again. It was, it was a super tough, exciting fight. Just a couple little movements here, little positioning, and some strikes and some takedown defenses away from winning that fight decisively. I just like to thank Bellator and all my fans, that cheer for me, and hopefully everyone enjoyed that fight. Hopefully I'll be back here soon. Maybe I'll drop down to bantamweight and Bjorn will let me fight in that tourney too. I just want to fight, man. I wanted to come in here. This is Atlantic City. I wanted to have an Arturo Gatti style fight, and hopefully the fans enjoyed it.
The quality of the fighter who is sitting to my right says a lot about the quality of the fighter that is sitting to my left. If you watched our tournament where Shambalat earned his right to fight for this world title, he was just a wrecking crew, and he fought incredibly talented fighters to get through that gauntlet, the toughest tournament in sports, and earn that shot. He's a huge talent. He's got power in both hands. He's got a well-rounded game. You're looking at a very talented mixed martial. I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but we're blessed at 145 with some of the greatest fighters in the world. So this guy is just, he's a huge talent. And the level of his talent and what Pat was able to do tonight in terms of that dominant first round performance, that type of submission, taking advantage every opportunity. I get in trouble for saying these things some of the time. I honestly think this is the best featherweight in the world sitting to my left. And I would say it to anybody who asks me. The evolution of Pat Curran has just been an amazing thing to see. The stand-up is there. We've seen the incredible knockout power. The submission game is there. His technical expertise inside the cage is just second to none. He adapts to everything and anything that's thrown on him. He has an answer for any puzzle that he's faced with. I'm hugely impressed watching this guy fight, and I'm just thrilled that he's fighting in this organization. So, Shambalat, you will see this gentleman back in our cage in short order, like I said. And this guy, who knows what's next? He's got Daniel Strauss coming up. He's got Frodo coming up. He's got a full tablet, but he keeps taking care of business in short order. So we'll keep putting the tournaments together and feeding you the next challenger. So, Shambalat?
Sorry, так получилось. Думал подеремся, но чемпион нашел более легкий путь. Извините, что так все быстро произошло.
Ты молодец.
Usually he says, thank you, Bellator. This time it was a sorry, Bellator, just this one time. You know, he's sorry to disappoint a lot of fans around the world who are rooting for him and cheering for him. But, you know, the opponent found some, you know, some opportunities, so to speak, within the game, and we're going to work. We're going to go get back in the gym, work on it, and we'll be back stronger.
No disappointment.
I'd just like to say thanks to Shambalat for stepping up and taking the fight on short notice, 5 weeks out. You know, this was a big opportunity for him, and you know, I just want to say thank you for stepping up and coming out and performing tonight, and also thank you to Bellator for giving me this opportunity to perform and to keep me busy as a fighter. So, yeah, thank you.
And with that, again, if those that have just joined us in the live stream, we'll welcome you to Revel here in Atlantic City. Post-fight press conference underway, opening remarks just concluded. So for those members of the press that are joining us live, we'll throw it to you for questions. Who will ask the first question? Okay, if we have no further questions, that's what I thought.
I'll just yell. I'm loud. I'm not part of the press, obviously. Bjorn, thanks for letting me back into the ring. I apologize to any of the commission guys or anything like that, but seeing my brother win such a big fight means a ton to me, even more to him and our team in Visalia, so thanks for letting me get back in.
Thank you, sir. And for those members of the press, our first question from, there we go.
Bjorn, you had Pat Curran defend his belt twice. Hasn't really happened, I don't think at all, during one season. Can we look forward to seeing more than one title defense from any of the title holders in Bellator going forward next season?
Yeah, I think you and I have talked about it. Yes, in a perfect world, yeah. I mean, the essence of what this great alliance we've got with Spike gives me the opportunity to do now is to do more tournaments and to adapt those tournaments and manipulate them and keep them funneling so that we can get guys like Pat, guys like Mike Chandler and Dantas, and all the list goes on and on. 3 title defenses per year minimum. I mean, Pat's been on a fast track and you know, based on tonight's performance, could probably go again in relatively short order. But that's another part of that great alliance we've got with Spike. It just allows us to fuel the machine and keep these guys super busy, and do it through an objective format. Do it through where a Shambalat earns the right to fight for that title, as opposed to just picking the guys and throwing them into a title fight because we think we can sell it. So yeah, I mean, that's the ideal: is 3 fights minimum and potentially more in terms of title defenses.
And have you spoke to Daniel Strauss, and do you know, can you give us a timeline? Do you think it'll be Frodo before Strauss for the next featherweight title fight.
Yeah, I saw Daniel last week at our show, and he's in good spirits. He thinks his legal issues are going to get solved, and he's going to be back in the gym in pretty short order. The hand's coming back. He's super tough. I mean, last time he was fighting for us regularly, he was number 7 in the world. So, you know, I mean, we just keep putting together top 10 ranked guys to challenge Pat. So, you know, my hope is his legal issue works itself out the right way. Knock on wood, and saying a prayer for Daniel to get that taken care of. And if that happens, then he'll be up against Pat first. And if not, Frodo's ready to go as well. So we got it set up and backloaded pretty nicely. Thanks.
First off, for Pat, could you kind of explain the game plan coming into this fight and what you were trying to accomplish?
We obviously knew Shabala had a lot of power in his hands, and you know, we wanted to keep our hands high, make sure you know, we watch out for his power shots, definitely his overhand right, and we didn't really see too much of his ground game, so we wanted to expose that a little bit and test that out. And you know, once I got him to the ground, he scrambled right back to his feet, and you know, I saw the opening and I just went for it right away. And once I latched on, I was holding on for dear life and wasn't gonna let that go. So, but yeah, definitely want to say thanks to my team, Team Curran. You know, we had a great camp. They prepared me for this, and you know, I couldn't have been any better. So thank you.
Now, we've talked about how the featherweight division is backed up. Do you have a timetable when you would like your next title defense to take place?
Like I said, as long as I'm healthy, I have no injuries, I want to get right back at it. And you know, that's up to Bjorn and the guys at Bellator, and obviously my coaches as well. And you know, we'll come up with a game plan when get back in there next.
For Doug, can you kind of explain the end of the fight with able to get back to your feet and then finishing with your strikes?
You know what? Yeah, I brought some guys in, some wrestlers to really help me up against the cage, to work my whizzer and be able to just stand up a lot easier. So you know, I got back to my feet. I grabbed the head. I knew when I would go for like the tie clinch, he would block incorrectly. You know, put his hands down. So when I grab the head, his hands come down. I come over the top and the elbow, which landed decent. It was more of like a smashing forearm, and then you know, went under a punch, came over with the big right hand, and then you know, before that fight, the referee had made it very clear to me that these fights were not going to be stopped prematurely. He's like, hey, you know what? If you knock them down, don't just walk away with your hands up. You know what I mean? And think you're a cool guy. So you know, I came in to do what I do. You know, to finish them. And you know, my hat's off to Brett Cooper. You know what? I've trained with him before. He's a super cool guy. You know, but when we're fighting, we ain't friends. You know, and it's my job to sell this fight. And you know, I don't know. I got the victory. So.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Doug. Gentlemen, your next question.
Thank you. Nima Mary here. My question is for Shaw and Pat. For my version of the fight, you know, I watched the fight before with, you know, between Mike and Frodo. It seemed to me that the fight for Shaw was called a little bit early. When I was watching it, I thought Shaw was definitely still in the fight. My question here is for Pat. Do you think if the fight had not been called by the ref the way it was, that the outcome would have still been the same had Shaw had an opportunity to get up and the round had ended? Do you think that he still would have had an opportunity to win? From my version of watching, the guy to my left said he was unconscious, dude. I just want to clarify that my position is very clear. I saw Shaw still fighting at that opportunity. So my question really is for Pat. Do you think that had the ref not called it at that point, do you think the outcome still would have been the same?
I can tell you I was there. He was unconscious.
Well spoken, Pat. Thank you. Next question.
My question's for Doug Marshall. Doug, obviously you kind of fuel on the fans' negative attention and kind of motivates you. Personally, I thought you were a dark horse in this tournament, but you came out and you proved all the haters wrong. And I just want to know what's next for Alexander Shlemenko. Are we going to have another knockout or what?
Well, I definitely don't plan on taking him down. You know what I mean? I've been fighting for 10 years. I don't think I've ever tried to take anyone down. You know what? That dude likes to stand and trade. That's beautiful. I love it. You know what? I love fights that can be exciting for fans. You know, and nothing feels better to me than just knocking another man unconscious. Submissions are nice. Winning is the number one thing, but really just dropping them, just KD, man, knock dead. That's what I got for him right there.
Thank you, Doug. To the members of the media, our next question.
Hi, for Rick and Carl. Since this was billed, I suppose, as a judo match on account of your background, do you feel a certain responsibility to represent that particular martial art in the sense that it's highly effective when used properly, yet it's not commonly taught in the MMA world in general?
Yeah, I definitely I like to utilize judo and really put it on the map if I can. Fighting Karo, obviously he knows judo very well, so I didn't really want to play judo with him. What if I got caught and he threw me and it made me look bad? So but our game plan was to not really try to play judo with him and just strike. So he's definitely a talented judo fighter. So I didn't want to take any chances, and he's more comfortable, I believe, in the clinch and judo style kind of trading. So our game plan was different tonight.
What was your question again? Sorry.
About representing judo within the world of MMA.
Well, it always came natural to me when I walked in the cage. I've seen judo guys before walk in the cage and try to brawl, and I could never understand that. It's because if judo is part of martial arts and you wanna do what you're taught and what you're trained to do. And when I walked in the in the cage and the fight, and just to fight anybody, I always try to do judo as much as I could. Other than that, it worked out for me. I have a natural feel without a gi when I throw my opponents, and I've pretty much thrown everybody I've fought except Rick. But other than that, for me, wherever the fight went with them, I would have been comfortable. I didn't plan on catching a right hand, but other than that, it's all good. That's about it.
And for Doug, I believe you've been fighting professionally since, I think, 2004, right? And roughly, perhaps 3 to 4 times a year, you've never had long gaps. I think you're 37 now, correct? So my question is, how do you stay young at your age, as far as, have you been able to avoid a lot of damage, or what's your current status as far as your, it seems like you fight like a much younger man.
Well, I'm 36, so don't add any years to me. The lack of hair and teeth, don't let that throw you. Man, I just got a great team. I try to eat well, work out as hard as I possibly can, and try to avoid injuries. In fights like this, where I went in and did my job. This doesn't help. My foot, my knee. Everything, bumps and bruises. The older you get, obviously, yeah. When you're 21, you can fight every 4 weeks. No problem, this truly is the toughest tournament in sports. I really didn't know what I was getting myself into when they're like, hey, I just knew it was $100,000 and I'll do just about anything for $100,000. I didn't know it was gonna be. After my first win against Spain, they said, hey, you okay? Any hurt? I'm like, no, I'm good. They're like, all right, dude, you're fighting in 2 weeks. I'm like, nah, man, that's bullshit, They're like, no, dude, really, 2 weeks. And I'm like, wow, it ended up being 3 weeks, and then win that one, another 3 weeks. It's really taxing on my body. I'm not gonna say I'm stoked that I broke my hand, but I'm stoked that I won this tournament, and I'm gonna have a little bit of time to just kind of go into rest mode, So I don't know. Hope that answered it.
And then lastly for Pat, Bjorn spent some time talking about the various skills that you present. However, by talking to others about your particular skill set, what's been brought up to me is what's unique about you is your patience, how calculating you are, that you're not a very wasteful fighter, that you actually take your time to look for the openings. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, this is 5 rounds, 25 minutes is a long time, so I like to take my time, find my openings, and You know, just I'm a slow starter, but you know that's my style. You know, I get to read guys a little bit better, find my openings a little bit easier, and you know just get my timing down. And I think that's key to especially a 5-round war. You know, I'm prepared to go 5 rounds every fight, and you know I want to take my time the first round and get my timing and skills down. And you know once I get my range, you know I start turning it up and start putting the pace on them. So.
Pat, thank you. Let's make one last call for questions for any members of the media. We have a couple of questions. All right, gentlemen, we'll take a couple more.
This one is for Pat. You know, not really your garden variety guillotine you used to finish. At least didn't look that way. I mean, what exactly was that you hit for the finish there?
It was a head and arm guillotine. The only difference is just got the arm in. So once I got to his back, he posted on the ground. I saw the opening. Wrapped up his neck, and as he was trying to pull away, just cinched it in tighter, and I locked my legs and you know just held on.
And this one is for Doug. You know, I mentioned before in a previous question, but you know this run that you've been on, you know, since signing with Bellator, looking as good as you have, has there been a key to that? You know, something maybe you've done differently in training and in preparation or anything? Because as you mentioned before, you know, you've had a lot of fights. 36 years old now, and you've really been fighting. You know, maybe your best, you know, in these last 4.
$100,000.
Enough said. Next question.
Yes, for the Dagestani fighters, Frodo and Shablat, you two gentlemen have really put the small nation on the map. I just want to know, you know, how that feels to you to represent your country here.
Ти поставила свою республику, как бы это показала, дал знать о своей республике всему миру, ты ешь аккуратно, вместе. Как это чувствуешь? Ты чувствуешь гордость какую-то особую за то, что ты всем миру показал свою республику?
Так, ты тоже подвинься сюда, пошли.
Я, конечно, расстроен, что Шахбуат проиграл. Я, конечно, хотел, чтобы он тоже выиграл. И что в Дагестане, чтобы знали, что в Дагестане есть хорошие бойцы, не только борцы, но и ударники тоже. И сейчас следующий посмотрим. Постараюсь все типа.
You know, definitely very proud of, you know, that the two of us were able to represent Dagestan very well in the tournament, and you know, upset for Shah. He's my brother, and you know, I'll definitely try to take my revenge on this gentleman right here as soon as I possibly can get my hands on him.
And then for Bjorn, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Я рад, что представлял свою республику. Извините, что проиграл. Я рад за Фродо. Я думаю, он отомстит за меня, заберет пояс в Дагестан. Желаю удачи.
Definitely very proud to make a very small republic so well known in the world, and definitely looking forward to Frodo taking his revenge. If he needs help, I'm here available. You know, we'll go after him.
Yes, for Bjorn. This was, if I understood right, this was the last event of this current season. What can we expect from Bellator in the next season? And when does that start?
We've got a summer series coming up that'll kick off in June. You'll see a bantamweight tournament, a heavyweight tournament, and a light heavyweight tournament. And then we've got another tournament that kicks off in the fall with 12 solid events. So it just keeps right on rolling. You know, we're on Spike 3 times this summer, and then we'll be on Spike another 12 times in the fall. So the train just keeps traveling around the country and the world.
A question for Doug. Doug, what was the purpose of standing over Cooper after you knocked him out and showing him up like that? You just mentioned earlier that you've trained him before, he's a nice guy, and and then you also said you're kind of playing up to sell fights. So what was going through your head there? Why do that?
You ever seen that picture of Muhammad Ali just standing there victorious? I don't know, maybe a little bit of that was running through my head. And then once again, back to the part about me being an asshole. You know, when you're that fired up and it just goes down the way it is, like, I literally don't know what I'm doing at the exact time. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much adrenaline being dumped, like, I don't know whether to run and jump over the cage or throw up or do backflips. You know what I mean? But, you know, in his interview, of course, you know, he's trying to sell the fight, but he ain't scared to stand with anybody. Well, you know, that seems like that was a bad decision. You know what I mean? Like, maybe he should choose his words more carefully next time. So.
Doug, thank you. Gentlemen, thank you. And Bjorn, let's go back to you for closing comments.
Well, my first closing comment is a good one. We got the CT scan back on Brett Cooper, which is clean. He has a broken nose, and he is awake and alert and aware, which is great news. Rick, Doug, Frodo, and Pat Kern, our champions, spectacular performances tonight. Just a great, great night of fights. Thanks to Spike. Thanks to our partners here at Revel, and thanks to you guys for coming out.
Bjorn, thank you. All the fighters, our season finale here in Season 8. We thank you so much. For more information about the Summer Series coming up, just log on to Bellator.com. We'll see you next time at Bellator MMA Live on Spike.